Welcome back in. Today we're going to be discussing one of the more polarizing players heading into the draft season this year. That is Kyren Williams. We're going to break down his 2024 outlook and what we should be doing with him. Let's go ahead and get right into it. His current ADP is RB7 or 20th overall, and that is kind of the big sticking point because that is a pretty heavy price to pay for a running back that we're kind of not sure what his exact role is going to be this year. Because I don't expect for him to have the exact same role that he had last year. Last year, with a 78% opportunity share, averaged 19 carries per game and 4 targets per game. He also had 1,100 rushing yards. He was pretty efficient on his touches, 17th in yards created per touch, 28th in breakaway run rate with a 5.2 yards per touch. As far as a receiver last year, he had 11.5% target share. He was also fourth in route participation, 32 catches, 206 yards, and he had 15 total touchdowns last year. And oh, yeah, averaged 21.3 fantasy points per game, number two among all running backs. Even despite missing 5 games last year, he still was the RB7 overall on the season. That's how good he was last year. He put up an RB1 week in 9 of the 11 games that he played. So he was just Mr. Consistent. He was giving you big weeks, week in, week out. He was somebody you could trust within this Rams offense. Now, this year, they bring in Blake Corum from Michigan. And Blake Corum, I think he is a solid running back. Is he an elite level running back? No. I don't think that he's that. I think he is a good between the tackles runner. Average, last year he had 1,100 rushing yards, 117 receiving yards, and 26 touchdowns. Now they invested a third round pick in him, but I want to caution people by coming running out and thinking that, oh man, this guy is going to just completely take over this backfield. I don't think that's going to happen. Les Snead, Sean McVay have both talked a lot about the situation over the offseason. They brought in Blake Corum because one, they needed the depth. Their backup running backs were absolutely terrible last year. Ronnie Rivers and Daryl Henderson when they brought him back, and Cam Akers got shipped out. Like they had nothing behind him, and they wanted a more stable option behind him, so they went out and drafted Blake Corum. I don't think though that Kyren Williams is going to see some significant loss in touches. I think he probably goes from 19 carries per game down to probably 15 carries per game. I think the target share is definitely still going to be there. I think he's still going to run a lot of routes because he is a much better pass catcher than Blake Corum is. Blake Corum is more of a functional pass catcher and not something that you would say that you could line up anywhere and is a good receiver. So I do definitely think there should be a distinction between both of those. I will say that we definitely need to be paying attention to what Sean McVay and this coaching staff talks about because they are a more transparent group of all the coaches there is out there. Last year, they spent all offseason hyping up Kyren Williams and Puka Nakua just for them to go on to absolutely kill it last year. They have talked a lot about Blake Corum and what they expect from him. They think that he is going to be involved, and I expect him to be involved. But this does feel somewhat like a Travis Etienne situation. He's been somebody that I've kind of talked about the situation because we do this every year with rookie running backs. They draft a rookie running back in the third or fourth or the fifth round, and we automatically say, "Oh, this guy's taking his touches." And I just think that's a little bit of a mistake. I think he's here for depth. I don't think he's going to come right in and take over this entire back. So overall, I think this is a good situation. This is a good offense to be in. This is an offense that produces a lot of high end running backs. This is a even better offensive line than it actually was last year. Last year they had Kevin Dotson, which was a huge upgrade because he was the second highest graded guard according to PFF's offensive line grades. And they also went out and added Jonah Jackson in free agency from the Lions, who we know the Lions have one of the best offensive lines in the league. This offense is going to be really good. So for me, it comes down to cost. As long as Kyren Williams' ADP doesn't obviously rise, but I think if it actually falls a little bit, I would be much more of a buyer of Kyren Williams. I think if he drops down into the 30s, overall, maybe more of that RB9, RB10, I would be much more of a buyer on Kyren Williams. I definitely think there's still some upside here. I think he can be just as efficient as he was last year and still produce really solid fantasy numbers. But I would not be a buyer at current cost. 20th overall is just a little bit too rich for me for somebody who I do expect some regression in some of the numbers that he had last year. So let me know what your thoughts are on Kyren Williams. Are you in or are you out at current cost with Kyren Williams? And be sure to hit that like and subscribe button for future content. We got some more good content coming. We're going to be dropping a league winners video here in the next couple of days, so be on the lookout for that. We'll see you on the next one.